The United States has been relentless in its pursuit of regime change in Venezuela. We cannot be silent in the face of the latest U.S. aggression against the Venezuela people, which can only result in bloodshed, chaos, and instability. What do we say? Hands off Venezuela! What do we say?
Hands off Venezuela!
What do we say? Hands off Venezuela! What do we say? Hands off Venezuela! The United States has a long and violent history of intervening in Latin America to serve its own interests. We are fortunate to have with us today some speakers who will make the connection. Our first speaker is Armin Abrahimi from Hands Off Venezuela. Thank you for being here, Armin.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Arman. I'm with the Hands Off Venezuela campaign and the International Marxist Tendency. So I'd like to talk about what's going on in Venezuela because the situation is extremely critical. There is a risk of civil war in Venezuela prompted by U.S. military aggression. And the reason why they're doing this is not because of humanitarian reasons, because of material interests. There are direct material interests in the situation in Venezuela. The U.S. capitalists want the oil. The oil was nationalized by Hugo Chavez's government after the 2002 coup. They want to destroy the revolution. They want to destroy the Bolivarian revolution that millions of people in Venezuela are looking towards. The Bolivarian Revolution, starting really in 2002, gave millions of people access to education, access to food, access to hospitals. For the first time in their lives, many people were able to go to the hospital. And really, if you look at what happened in the 2002 coup d'etat, wherein the U.S. tried to overthrow the Hugo Chavez government, the masses were the ones that entered the scene and saved the Venezuelan revolution and pushed it forward. And what happened after that was that people started to take over the economy. People started to take over the factories. The workers started to run the factories democratically. The peasants, toiling on the land for hundreds of years, now decided to take the land, seize it, and run it themselves. And so you have peasant communes in the countryside. And so this is really the motive force of the Venezuelan revolution. It's the masses of people, the workers, the peasants, the poor people, intervening in history to make their mark on it. And I think that Hugo Chavez was right when he said that socialism is really the way forward for humanity. But unfortunately, the Bolivarian revolution in Venezuela has not gone as far as it could have. The major businesses, the banks, they're still in control of the hands of the capitalists in private hands. The landlords still control much of the land in Venezuela. So it's a revolution that's gone halfway, but we say that it needs to go further. And so we have comrades in Venezuela that are calling for the completion of the revolution, that the revolution needs to be completed by expropriating the commanding heights of the economy, expropriating all the major businesses, expropriating all the banks, giving the land to the peasants, and putting all of these things under the democratic control of the workers and peasants. But the Venezuelan government, led by Maduro, has refused to do that. They've actually been stopping Venezuelan workers and peasants from running the factories democratically, from taking the land, and they've sided with the landlords many times. And so this invites aggression from U.S. imperialism. And because the capitalists still have control over the economy, they're sabotaging the economy. They're hoarding goods. People say that, there's millions of starving people in Venezuela. Yes, because there's lots of food being hoarded. There's enough food for everybody in Venezuela, but the capitalists refuse to distribute it because they want to essentially overthrow the regime and crush the Bolivarian revolution. And so I think that the way forward really is to complete the socialist revolution that has only gone halfway in Venezuela and be in solidarity against Trump's coup d'etat. And really, the best way to secure the Venezuelan revolution abroad is to have a revolution here in the United States, a socialist revolution.
Women Against Military Madness is where I saw the notice about this.
This is MPAC's.
Thank you, Armand.
Oh, okay.
This is U.S.
All right, can everyone hear me okay?
That's the event today.
I'm assuming
Okay.
that's a yes. So on that note, we're going to do a few more chants, get everyone fired up, keep everyone to stay
Just so
warm,
we can get access
and
to
keep
it.
everybody energetic.
I'll
Is everybody
take
ready
it
to do
with
some
Hands Off
chants?
Venezuela, so.
Is everybody ready to keep chanting?
I had a seizure, so I've been out of the loop for a lot of this.
No wall! No war!
But-
We won't take it anymore! No wall! No war! We won't take it anymore! No wall! No war! We won't take it anymore! No wall! No war!
We don't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
No wall! No war!
We won't take it anymore.
Coups and sanctions cost lives. We don't believe the media's lies. Coups and sanctions cost lives. We don't believe the media's lies. Coups and sanctions cost lives. We don't believe the media's lies. Coups and sanctions cost lives. We don't believe the media's lies. Coups and sanctions cost lives. We don't believe the media's lies. Coups and sanctions cost lives.
We don't believe the media lies.
Coups and sanctions cost lives.
We don't believe the media lies.
Coups and sanctions cost lives.
We believe the media lies.
Coups and sanctions cost lives.
Don't believe the media lies.
Coups and sanctions cost lives.
Don't believe the media lies.
Coups and sanctions cost lives.
Don't believe the media lies.
And our next speaker will be April Knudsen. April is with the Haiti Justice Committee of Minnesota. Thank you for being here, and she's going to make some connections.
All right.
So glad to see you all here. Using aid as a political weapon is nothing new. Nothing new at all. In fact, there is an organization that's very much involved with this Venezuela situation right now, USAID. That spells aid. And they are an arm of the U.S. government, the U.S. military, and the CIA. In fact, they are often involved in regime change around the world and in the Caribbean and in Central America and South America. Often. In fact, they toppled the democratically elected president of Haiti twice. President Aristide was toppled by the CIA and USAID. Now, why did they want to get rid of Aristide? Because they had really, U.S. capitalists had really made a great amount of money during the Duvalier dictatorship. U.S. corporate interests made enormous wealth during those decades of dictatorship. President Aristide was the first democratically elected president of Haiti since the Duvalier dictatorship. And what did he want? Not really that much from U.S. capitalists. He wanted them to pay taxes. He wanted them to pay a higher minimum wage. And he wanted to nationalize the telephones.
All right.
Does that sound so incredibly revolutionary? Well, it was too much revolution for the U.S. government. They toppled him twice with the help of USAID. Sorry. So, whenever a country has a democratically elected government that wants to nationalize resources like oil in Venezuela, industries, utilities, health services. The U.S. intervenes. They want the profits for capitalists, not for the people. The Haiti Justice Committee joins the international cry. No U.S. intervention in Venezuela. No U.S. intervention. And no U.S. intervention anywhere in the Caribbean, Central America, or South America.
Or the world.
Or the world. And we echo the cry from people in Caracas who are rallying to defend their revolution. They are rallying to defend what they have gained. Education, healthcare. Hands off Venezuela.
Woo! Okay, let's do a couple more chants. Thank you so much, April. No blood for oil. U.S. off Venezuelan soil. 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 No blood for oil.
U.S. off Venezuela soil.
So our next speaker for today's event is Steph Taylor, Vice President of ASME Local 3800.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, as Autumn said, my name is Stephanie Taylor. I'm happy to be here today representing my union, AFSCME Local 3800, the clerical workers at the University of Minnesota. As workers in the United States, we are here today to stand with you all and oppose any U.S. intervention in Venezuela. Our reasons for doing that are twofold. First, because we know the brutal history of U.S. intervention and colonialism in Latin America. It has propped up dictators, overthrown democratically elected leaders, illegally funneled drug money and weapons into war-torn regions, and trained death squads and despots at the U.S. School of the Americas. These truths are testaments to the fact that the U.S. military and CIA are incapable of spreading democracy. Instead, they serve at the pleasure of the most powerful and wealthy in the United States, not the ordinary working people of Venezuela, and not workers in the United States either. Second, because Maduro, a former unionized bus driver and union activist, is carrying forward Hugo Chavez's intentions of putting the working class at the steering wheel of governing their country. And many gains have been made. We have seen Maduro fight for workers' rights, fight against racism, and support expanded political and economic rights for women and indigenous people in Venezuela. His government has won amazing victories for the working people of Venezuela. We workers, the many, have more in common with President Maduro than the unelected puppet Juan Guaido or our own billionaire President Donald Trump. Workers in the U.S. must stand in solidarity with the Bolivarian Revolution, with Maduro, and with workers of Venezuela because our long-term interests are the same. Our union, our local, passed a resolution in support of the democratic government of Venezuela and against the coup. And I'm just going to read that now. No U.S. intervention in Venezuela, money for jobs and education, not war and occupation. Whereas on January 23rd, 2019, President Trump recognized Juan Guaido, the president of the Venezuelan National Assembly, as the interim president of Venezuela. Whereas the Trump administration is orchestrating a coup against a democratically elected government, and there is open discussion of the possibility of direct U.S. intervention in Venezuela. Whereas the U.S. has no legitimate claim to intervene in the internal affairs of other countries, to take sides in internal political disputes, or to undermine governments elected by the people. Whereas we have seen the disastrous consequences of recent U.S. interventions in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, and elsewhere, U.S. intervention in Venezuela can only bring further hardship and suffering for the people of Venezuela, as we saw following the U.S. government's support for the 2009 coup in Honduras that overthrew the elected government there and contributed to the stream of asylum seekers now on our southern border seeking relief from that disaster. Whereas Venezuela's economic difficulties have been greatly compounded by economic sanctions imposed on Venezuela by the United States, the economic chaos the U.S. now points to in Venezuela as a justification for intervention is in large part a consequence of U.S. policy, which is designed to provoke popular unrest, sow divisions, and precipitate an uprising against the government. Whereas the interference in Venezuela's internal affairs serves the interests of wealthy elites and multinational corporations, not the interests of the Venezuelan or American people. It is also always the people who end up paying for these interventions and suffering blood and treasure. Therefore, be it resolved, AFSCME Local 3800 calls for an end to threats of military and other intervention in Venezuela. No war, sanctions, or U.S.-supported coup. U.S. out of Venezuela!
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 Out of Venezuela!
U.S. 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 out of Venezuela!
Thank you all so much, and thank you, Steph, for that amazing speech. So before we move on to the next speaker, I'm actually gonna be selfish and lead y'all another chant. Everyone good to go? Let's do this. What's the biggest threat to the world today? Donald Trump and the CIA. What's the biggest threat to the world today? Donald Trump and the CIA. What's the biggest threat to the world today? Donald Trump and the CIA. What's the biggest threat to the world today? Donald Trump and the CIA. What's the biggest threat to the world today?
Donald Trump and the CIA!
What's the biggest threat to the world today?
Donald Trump and the CIA!
What's the biggest threat to the world today?
Donald Trump and the CIA!
What's the biggest threat to the world today?
Donald Trump and the CIA!
Excellent, excellent. So our next speaker is a person by the name of Gerardo from Venezuelan Solidarity. Y'all ready to go? Let's do it.
Buenas tardes, compañeros y compañeras. Nos han enseñado que la solidaridad es la ternura de los pueblos.
Good afternoon, compañeros and compañeras. We're here in solidarity with the people.
Es la ternura de los pueblos.
En la ternura.
Estamos aquí para denunciar el intervencionismo que el poder corporativo, los bancos y los poderosos están haciendo en contra de Venezuela.
We're here to denounce the powers, the banks, and the corporate powers that be.
En contra de Venezuela está el sector poderoso de los ricos, de los bancos, de la Comunidad Europea y del poder aquí en los Estados Unidos.
And interventionism, the rich. Lo siento.
This is a corruption, international corruption against the sovereignty of Venezuela. Right now, the people in Colombia confront another economic model. This is the main issue. The main issue here is about the oil. This is the main situation. Oil is the big problem. It's not Maduro, it's not Chavez, it's not Rafael Correa, it's no people in another place in the world. Right now, the main problem is the oil. Quiero denunciar al gobierno colombiano.
I want to denounce the Colombian government.
Iván Duque es un títere del expresidente Álvaro Uribe.
And this is what has been inherited from the ex-president Uribe.
El presidente Uribe protagonizó uno de los hechos de genocidio en contra del pueblo colombiano.
Uribe is the one who organized the genocide against the Colombian people.
En Colombia hay 7 millones de desplazados internos.
There are 7 million displaced internally in Colombia,
Y cerca de 4 millones fuera del país.
and almost 4 million outside the country.
¿Con qué cara el presidente Duque va a hablar de democracia en la frontera de Venezuela?
How can President Luque talk about democracy on the border with Venezuela?
En Colombia mueren niños de hambre en La Guajira y en el Chocó.
In Colombia, there are hungry children in the cities of
Chocó y Guajira. En Colombia asesinan sindicalistas.
In Colombia, they murder union members.
Los paramilitares tienen como práctica descuartizar personas con motosierra.
The paramilitaries cut up people with chainsaws.
Esa es la situación y lo que tenemos que entender con respecto a la situación en Colombia y Venezuela.
This is a situation that we need to understand in regarding the situation in Colombia and Venezuela.
Senadores de los Estados Unidos estuvieron en la frontera con Venezuela empujando la guerra.
U.S. senators are going to the Venezuelan border pushing war.
Y hay una persona que es el embajador de Colombia en los Estados Unidos.
There's a person who's the Colombian ambassador to the U.S.
Embajador de Colombia en los Estados Unidos. Se llama Francisco Santos.
The Colombian ambassador to the U.S., Francisco Santos,
es un hombre que está vinculado con el paramilitarismo.
He is someone who has been linked to the paramilitaries.
Francisco Santos le dio la orden a Mancuso, un jefe paramilitar, de crear el bloque capital en el centro de Colombia.
Francisco gave an order to a paramilitary chief, Mancuso, to something in the central block in Colombia.
No, to break.
To make the central block.
Yeah, to break.
Esta situación nos demuestra que lo que hay en Colombia es que la mafia vinculada al narcotráfico y a crímenes de lesa humanidad están empujando la guerra.
And this situation shows the mafia and the narco-trafficking in Colombia are all linked with the destroying humanity, the humanitarian concerns.
Colombia sufrió una guerra de más de 50 años, por eso no estamos de acuerdo, desde luego, que haya ese movimiento de guerra en Colombia y de intervención.
Colombia has suffered a war for over 50 years. For that reason, we are not in agreement to renew this war in Colombia.
El asunto es la confrontación de dos modelos económicos.
And this issue of confronting the economic issues.
En Colombia lo que hay es un modelo, insisto, vinculado al poder corporativo, vinculado a narcotraficantes.
This is a model that is linked with narco-trafficking and with corporate power.
Brasil, Venezuela, Bolivia, Ecuador pensaron y desarrollaron un modelo económico que se ocupara de la gente.
Brazil, Venezuela, Bolivia, and Ecuador have thought to develop a model that would be based in the people,
que no aceptara los tratados de libre comercio.
that would not accept free trade models.
Y eso no le gustó a las corporaciones.
And the corporations don't like this.
Por eso han venido bloqueando a Venezuela, han venido robando los recursos de Venezuela.
For that reason, they have come blocking Venezuela and stealing the resources from Venezuela.
Las estaciones Citgo que están en Estados Unidos ahora han sido secuestradas.
The Citgo? Citgo stations have been embargoed in the United States.
Han bloqueado en Venezuela el ingreso, las grandes corporaciones han bloqueado el ingreso de medicina, de alimentos.
The great corporations have been blocking the medicines and food coming in.
Y ahora esas mismas corporaciones son las que llegan a decir que llevan ayuda humanitaria.
And these are the same corporations that are coming in saying they're bringing humanitarian aid.
En este momento en la frontera entre Colombia y Venezuela, lo que hay es un grupo intervencionista.
Right now, what is happening on the border of Colombia and Venezuela, it's an interventionist group.
Es importante que como ustedes, como ciudadanos de Estados Unidos, le digan a su gobierno que no continúe con este ambiente de intervención.
It is very important that you, as the United States citizens, tell your government to not go forward with this intervention.
Ya pasó en Irak, ya pasó en Siria, ya pasó en Libia, ya pasó en Yemen.
This has happened in Iraq, it's happened in Syria, it's happened in Libya, it happened in Yemen.
No queremos que ahora pase nuevamente en Latinoamérica.
We don't want this to happen again in Latin America.
Los latinoamericanos tenemos derecho a escoger autónomamente, soberanamente, cuál es el modelo económico que queremos.
The Latin Americans have the right to choose autonomy, to choose solidarity, to choose our own economic system.
Sí hay un drama humanitario,
There is a humanitarian need.
sí hay un genocidio
Genocidio.
Yes, there is genocide.
en Colombia. Ahí están asesinando líderes sociales. Cada año, cada día, crecen la cifra de luchadores sociales, de defensores de derechos humanos asesinados.
Yes, they are murdering social leaders every day, every year in Colombia.
Corporaciones como Coca-Cola, como Chiquita, como Oxy Petroleum en Colombia patrocinan grupos paramilitares.
Corporations like Coca-Cola and Chiquita, they sponsor paramilitary groups.
La única forma que podamos parar la guerra es a través de la educación, de hablar con la gente, con los vecinos, con las iglesias.
The only way we can stop this war is with education, talk with people, talk with churches and neighbors.
Esta no es una manifestación solamente para estar aquí, debe ser el comienzo de una gran movilización, de una gran actos en cada uno de sus vecinos, de sus iglesias, para educar a la gente.
We are here, this protest is just the beginning. This is the beginning of a great mobilization to act, to talk to neighbors, to talk to churches,
Y parar la guerra.
and stop the war.
Los dineros que pagamos en impuestos en el mes de abril
The money that we're going to be paying in taxes in the month of April
debe ser para construir hospitales acá en los Estados Unidos.
should be used to build hospitals here in the United States.
Aquí hay una crisis humanitaria.
Here we have a humanitarian.
Aquí persiguen a los inmigrantes.
Here they persecute immigrants.
Aquí persiguen a las personas musulmanes que piensan diferente.
Here they persecute Muslims who think differently.
Aquí en este país no hay salud ni educación gratuita.
Here we don't have free health care and free education.
Eso es una crisis humanitaria.
And this is a humanitarian crisis.
Entonces, los invito a que se movilicen.
So we invite you to mobilize.
Tomen su teléfono, su Facebook, contacten personas, amigos de otras partes de Estados Unidos o del mundo.
Use your phone, use Facebook, contact your friends in other parts of the United States and around the world,
Y levantemos la voz en contra de la guerra.
and raise our voices against war.
Somos capaces de movilizar.
We are capable, we are able to mobilize.
Movilicemos.
We will mobilize.
Debemos organizarnos para llegar, ojalá, el 16 de marzo a la ciudad de Washington.
We will organize, hopefully, to arrive on March 16th in Washington,
De donde muchos estados van a salir delegaciones para protestar frente a la Casa Blanca,
where many states will come and be protesting in front of the White House
para decir no a la guerra.
to say no to war.
Queremos dinero para educación, salud.
We want money for education, for health.
Nuestros taxes no son para la guerra.
Our taxes are not for war.
El pueblo de los Estados Unidos tiene que reconciliarse con el mundo.
The people of the United States, we need to reconcile with the rest of the world.
No basta la opinión pública,
That will not be public opinion.
se necesita la acción y la movilización pública.
We need action and mobilization from the public.
¡Viva la lucha internacional de los trabajadores!
Long live the work of long live international workers.
Estamos por la soberanía de los pueblos,
We're here for solidarity of the people,
por la solución pacífica al conflicto en Venezuela,
and for a peaceful solution to the conflict in Venezuela,
por la no intervención de ninguna potencia en contra de un país soberano.
and against intervention by any power against the people of Venezuela.
Estamos por la solidaridad, por la paz y la justicia.
We're here for solidarity, peace, and justice.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you.